There's actually quite a nice theme about capitalism. Very similar to what I'm talking about in this video, and I want to extend a lot of points as well. We truly live in a world where money is the religion. But this money religion does not actually allow us to have relationships. It's going to be unusual because this is how we're going to start. Tucker podcast.
Right. People exactly. Damn, I think you just explained what's happening. I'm sorry. Yeah, so interesting. So you really can't say that any child or any person is valuable except for the products he produces or the services he provides.
Bingo.
Unless you acknowledge that he was created by God.
Correct.
Because where would the value come from?
Exactly. And you know where the value comes from in our culture? The size of your stock portfolio, the size of your bank account,
That's totally
the
right.
style of your car, the house you live in, the size, the grandeur of it. And that is so superficial. I mean, I was once speaking at a women's private
school. Can I also say,
yes,
it suggests that if you don't have that portfolio or that car, that you have less value. And
you are a loser.
Right. You're a loser, but you can also be completely mistreated or killed.
Why not?
Well, that's happening in the United States, by the way, to poor people.
Exactly.
And I guess when you frame it the way you did, we shouldn't be surprised by that. 100,000 people can die every year of fentanyl. And I'm like, yeah, but they're losers. Like, whatever, who cares?
Yep.
And
Tragic.
That is what we're saying.
Tragic.
Because they don't have value apart from what they produce or own.
Exactly.
Damn, I think.
Well, in this case, being poor is being immoral because, again, religion builds morality. If you're poor, you can't afford cool things. Now, if you are generally poor and the system does not give you morality, where, like, I don't get a dad replacement, I don't get a mom replacement, I don't get pity points for, falling behind. The friends leave me behind. Like, this religion fucking trashes you for a very simple reason. Internet globalization. The reason why we are in capitalism, it's not because it's such a smart idea, because it's recently, through the invention of the internet, we have globalized our ideologies, basically, and we started to understand what's actually going on, and even every single little thing of, like, what goods can be imported, what technology is created where and in which pieces. I mean, we still have, like, Taiwan producing semiconductors. Like, that's still in my head, bro. Can you imagine me knowing that fact? I don't like knowing facts. But it's just a nice example of globalization, of different places do different things. And now we all connected. So what happens? Well, we fall into the religion of capitalism because in the world where it's globalized, you can buy anything from anywhere, right? You can travel anywhere freely because the maps, the ability to trust technology and not be stolen from on the airport. I don't think I have this, but yeah. Bro tries to exchange like $58 to rupees, and a bro is trying to scam him in the airport for $10, which is quite a lot, isn't it? And all I said is just a mouthful of capitalism. You can go to a different country, exchange your currency, work for that country, travel freely, but never really settle. Because people will start realizing, we should just rent homes, not actually sell them. Selling homes, we lose homes when we sell them. Why don't we just keep everything? So even though you can own a lot of things during capitalism, you cannot actually build ownership. Most people are still going to remain poor. And the most important part about globalization is money is the easiest thing to understand. Big number, power level, basically, subscriber amount. That shit's easy to understand with one glance. Of how much do you have? Oh, you don't have enough. why I encourage you guys to subscribe, because I never have enough subscribers. And in capitalism, that can fucking make a difference, guys. Of the amount of stuff that I have, unfortunately, makes a difference. So if you want intellectual content to stay alive, please click button. I know it's very hard. Again, you must understand religion is stuff we believe in, stuff we think that brings morality to the table. So if someone is a rich person, then they are moral. They have produced so much value to society. It's good, but obviously that is falling apart. Of like people are questioning of like why billionaires exist, to the point of like maybe we should make them not exist, guys. And that sounds like a good idea. That means that religion is falling apart. Like we can't hold it as a religion anymore. We cannot hold it as the most baseline belief that all we have to do is chase money, work for someone, and as long as we have enough money, we're good. You know? We're chilling. So again, you can watch more of this, and Fireproof series in general is supposed to protect you from these kind of like diminishing ways of thought. Because of globalization, people just want to see now across the world of what do you have? What does this person have? What can this person offer me, basically, right? If you haven't built a business, you're not an interesting person. If you're not shining from 100 meters away, you're not an interesting person. Alright, let's begin. Dissecting.
Here's a red pill that.
Technically,
So
I want to
this, by
start
the
from
way,
here.
is all because of Wall Street. This is all because of the stock market, because of investors, private equity, and the demand to get.
This is actually becoming a swear word. Investors and stockholders, or shareholders, basically. I hope he is going to explain why you would do this. Is this just to cut the corners, of course? Because, like, most people who have money are not children, so children are actually not going to be appealed to. And nostalgic feeling of looking at all these colorful things is going to fade away. Like, they almost like want to attract business people, I would imagine. But
More value to shareholders. This has nothing to do with wokeness or DEI, you stupid sleeping babies. Okay? I'm going to explain this to you. McDonald's, the way McDonald's is structured is McDonald's owns the land underneath this building. They own the land. They're the biggest landholders in the United States when it comes to commercial properties. The franchisees then rent the building on top of them. And you know what happens? Sometimes McDonald's go out of business. And when McDonald's goes out of business, they want to put a different business in there and they want to sell the land underneath it. Well, guess what? When you have a building that can only be a McDonald's or can only be a Pizza Hut or can only be a Cracker Barrel, only
that's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Oh,
be a Taco Bell. Guess what? It's harder to sell those businesses. So every business has slowly been turning into a.
They have to become shells for potentially other businesses. That is crazy.
Gray or beige box. Because you know what happens when you put a vape store inside of an old Pizza Hut? We all call it, oh, the vape store inside of the
Yeah, the flexibility, the preparedness for failure.
old Pizza Hut. Now, in the future, they'll just pull the Pizza Hut sign off and you'll go, I think that might have used to be a Starbucks. I don't remember. I don't know. But all the buildings used to look like this. It's also easier to do upkeep on it. They all have the same dumb awning with these weird little latches attached to them. They don't have to have the special McDonald's only custom ordered roof or the special Pizza Hut red shingle or make.
Yeah, that's another thing. It goes with everything. Even can come down to paint, where the most common thing is going to be cheaper and doing uncommon things is expensive, which kind of fucking sucks still, that you scrape your identity because of that, but
Making sure that they have to do this special lighting underneath Cracker Barrel or whatever was going on with Taco Bell.
Capitalism is everything told us communism was. Well, that's just how a failed religion looks like. It worked to some extent, and you can't deny that. It worked. But it's not working anymore. Because at some point, you cannot do the same thing anymore. You have to switch. I've already adopted the understanding that beliefs or religions switch like seasons. Capitalism is season number 3. I already look at humanity as a seasonal calendar, basically, of progress. So we should be here. It's a 3. It's still a 3. We should go to the 4. We already should transition. It takes 30 years to do that. The funny thing is, like, there's so many people liking this thing, and I don't even know what people were talking about when it was communism. Like, communism was a thing, and everyone remembers it to be a thing. But I never lived under communism, which is so sad because I'm communist at heart. And now I have to suffer with this, like, money religion, where I just don't vibe with it. It's so disgusting to me. Especially when I know without friends, I can't, like, go through with this money religion. It's the saddest part where I have money, but now I don't have friends. Which is like everything falls apart if that's the case. If I don't have friends but I have money, then money means nothing. I can't actually buy anything special for myself without getting out of my way. Corporate gray.
Well, back in the day, they're all buying from the same company. They're all using the same parts. That brings down their cost. They're not building play places anymore. It's not because of wokeness. It's not because, oh, gay people, no. It's because insurance for a play place costs more than just having a fucking McDonald's. Because the purpose of all these buildings is to just pay off the property taxes while the land underneath it gets more and more expensive, so eventually you can sell it to somebody. Like in the case of Cracker Barrel, maybe the fact that they have land that's connected to the edge of every single highway exit by mid-tier cities all across the United States, maybe that'll be a good play for somebody who wants to.
Like, this alone, this video alone is just a shocker of all these moving plot points of capitalism, of what it optimizes itself to be.
Put up electric vehicle supercharge stations. Oh, look how they're all conveniently right here off the highway, and we have robots that can serve everybody $12 hot dogs. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But none of this has to do with wokeness, DEI, LGBT, black people, immigrants. None of that.
Now, Tucker is talking to a pastor, which is acknowledging, the most obvious thing, the collapse of relationships. And unfortunately, LGBT and so on. When you collapse relationships, people start caring about migrants, about artificial relationships that have nothing. They care about friendships as relationships. So, I'm friends with the same gender person or whatever. So, like, why not just be attracted to that person, right? Like, the relationships actually took a fucking hit, bro, on this one. And of course it plays a role somehow. But wokeness would actually, like, diminish the idea that everyone is suffering from capitalism in their own ways. Whether they want to admit it or not, most of people want to admit it. Most of people understand. So it's not, wokeness is not gonna, like, put people to sleep about this.
That shit was caused by this. This was completely caused by Excel spreadsheets and people going, if we do less, we can cash out with more. And that's the American dream. To do fuck all and to cash out with a lot more money. Okay? So this, by the way, is all because of Wall.
Premium might be the best.
Whatever this guy says might be the best $14 I'm spending. Whatever this guy says is completely true. I do the same thing. You get YouTube Music to accompany with a subscription, and YouTube just has the most things to offer. It's the most convenient thing, so of course I bought into it immediately. As a YouTube CEO, I kind of fucking have to. And no more need to worry about all these ad blockers and the war that is actually going on to this day, I imagine. This one, they win unless they piss people off, rise prices, and add more ads into their subscription versions, basically. Otherwise, so far so good, you know? Watching Netflix or other streaming services is like, I'm not gonna get what I actually need. It's quite anti-social thing to do. Alright. Someone pull up South Korea, North Korea, trying to tell me that North Korea is the real freedom.
Red pill that I don't think you're ready for, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. This is the free Korea right here. This Korea, that Korea is free. This Korea is occupied Korea. That's a Korea that's occupied by the US and has been since 1945. This Korea
is the same thing as occupying Africa, basically. We allow Japan and South Korea to have expression in a way that we give a fuck about. K-pop, guys. And this guy gotta shut up at this point. It actually gives more freedom, not less. Being Asian is an occupation. It's a tough one. You get occupied by other Asians. So because he doesn't understand the culture, he's gonna fucking propagate North Korea. Like, get out of here, dude. What a load of nonsense.
Here's a red pill that I don't think.
Violent regime. It makes no fucking sense. In a way, I would say that North Korea is the communism, is the leftover lands. The only freedom they wanted is to preserve communism, basically.
It's crazy how many people in corporate...
Wait, give me that video.
A super rare substance known as red mercury is repelled by garlic, attracted to gold. And guess what happens if you hold it up to a mirror? Yeah, the reflection doesn't show up. It almost sounds like a vampire. Weird. And the funny thing is, I've tried to look up information on red mercury. It's almost impossible to find. There's rumors that the technology was in old televisions and some military technology back in the day. And my grandfather even said that they used to put red mercury in thermometers. Maybe he was crazy, but
it was in thermometers.
It's crazy how many people in corporate America aren't actually working.
Okay, but then why are these corporate overlords willingly paying people not to work for a living? Why do we never ask that? What, do we think they just don't know how inefficient their corporate offices are, or they don't know how to make them more efficient? Because they don't have a problem enforcing efficiency on the lower rungs of the chain of command, with it being fairly commonplace for people like factory workers or drivers to be rigidly scheduled and aggressively surveilled to the point where they can't afford proper bathroom breaks and have to resort to carrying a bottle around with them on the job just to relieve themselves. And they have...
Yeah, now the question is, where's morality in here? You know, like, in the end of the day, the CEOs work very little. And oh, look at that guy. However, there is a problem, and the problem has to be solved. Capitalism never tried to efficiently employ a person to find this person's strengths or whatever, to test the person in different various ways. It never tried to do that. So we shouldn't expect that we're going to be treated nicely. In fact, we're going to be treated as the minimum wage allows us to be treated. The existence of minimum wage is like anti-competitive because you should be working for a shitty wage, but slowly finding your way to a better and better job. It's a lot easier to do that when there's a lot of opportunities, right? So with lesser minimum wage, there's more jobs that you can pick up and try. And you can threaten your boss that you will quit, so they raise your wage just a little bit to keep you around. Like, That was cool while it lasted. Yes, it is unfortunately, but physical labor is undervalued over shit like logistics. Like, that shit is actually quite complicated. It requires not just education, but knowing exactly what you're capable of doing and just drilling your way into it, to grabbing the job that is just floating around somewhere in the space. I can't do any of this, bro. I can't comprehend any of this, but people manage to do it. AI is not going to replace jobs. It's potentially going to employ people in a correct manner, trying to find exactly what you're capable of. It's going to be very different and refreshing for once. But we're going to get so much money and we already have lived through the money religion, that it's definitely not going to be the most important thing anymore. The location can be an unimportant thing, for example. That's what government loves to do. It loves locating itself, because it controls the entire fucking nation when it locates itself.
No problem enforcing efficiency at the top of the food chain either, at least when they need to. You might remember this guy who got Luigi'd on the streets of New York. He was a CEO on his way to a shareholder meeting, a meeting that happened anyway. They stepped over him, still warm, and got their meeting underway on time. The loss of one of their own did not even warrant delaying the schedule. And that's not even getting to the fact that these are the same corporate entities that allegedly fund militias to destabilize countries in the developing world, because buying resources from stable economies is much too expensive. The same corporate entities that employ child slave labor via proxies upon proxies, because as it turns out, creating chaos and destabilization also leads to very, very cheap labor at the bottom of the supply chain. So why, when they're so ruthlessly efficient at maximizing profit and productivity where it actually matters, are they also willing to pay Chattery and Bradwick relatively well to spend half of their day texting each other rude memes and online shopping, and the other half answering emails about attending meetings, about organizing the agenda for future meetings they need to attend? Maybe in an economy where money is really just a symbol that represents value relative to the economy, maximizing profit, or the amount of money you make, is really not the best way to maximize wealth. Maybe in an economy like that, money is nowhere near as valuable as ownership. Owning as much of the overall economy as you possibly can. The assets, the resources, the companies. Having your companies dominate as much of the market share as possible. Eliminate as much of the competition as possible. Which also means employing as many of the people as possible. And besides, if almost everybody indirectly works for you, and almost every product is indirectly owned by you, no matter how much you pay them, their salaries are going to make their way back into your pockets eventually anyway. Then you just have to make sure that you're raising prices faster than you're raising salaries. And again, not really because you want to make more money, really because you want the people working for you to be less able to afford to own anything. If their daily bread is becoming more expensive, they're less able to invest and save, to buy property, to buy their own home. They're more likely to be in a situation where even if they are fairly well paid, they're still probably living paycheck to paycheck. They still need every paycheck to make sure they're ahead of their rent, their bills, and their expenses. They are still dependent on you. And something that people with no security and no space to breathe don't really do is start businesses. They don't become competition. See, I think this is the new middle class of late-stage capitalism. The new aspiration is being paid fairly well not to work. Enough to have a nicer apartment, a bigger TV, and fancier doodads than the guy next door. Enough to feel a shallow sense of superiority and accomplishment. But not enough to ever become part of the ownership class. Never enough to actually own a piece of the pie, just enough to rent want a bigger piece than the other guy. Enough to make people willing to fight to protect an economy that doesn't even belong to them anymore.
It's crazy how many people in corporate
I don't know, it created a question that may have been answered. Corporate system, welfare system, okay. Daycare for men. I think it is possible because the religion is so perfect, the money religion, that it flips upside down, and people who have the most money are the most evil. Because the biggest factor, you have what other people starve for, you have what other people fail their lives to, you know? You can make someone's life a lot more comfortable. You can speed their process of growing. But instead, you just have a bunch of money for yourself and a bunch of luxury goods for yourself. Man, this guy be saying that it is just like the burden of ownership, the burden of being evil, I would say. Of like, you own these employees just for the sake of other people cannot have them. I think the problem is a lot more intricate in the CEOs who, like, the heads can change. Usually, capitalism is about decapitation of companies and their ownership, and it changes constantly. And when the ownership changes, like, it doesn't know exactly what to do with the lower type of people. It just knows that shareholders must continue encouraging to be buying more shares or whatever, right? So of course the pressure is going to be on the bottom class every single time. Is the easiest thing to do. You don't know how to put pressure on people who do paperwork. That's hard. Whoever's doing mental work and logistics, like, it's very difficult to push them around. So I don't know. It's a deep topic. It's weird. Apparently you can play a game with a ball, and you have not noticed yet because both of these guys failed
Love, you want to be
until
a friend,
now.
but we playing curveball. You get it back?
That's me.
Ah!
That's two.
He in the pocket.
Never.
He in the pocket.
That's three.
Wait.
No.
Oh!
Wait. He's cheating because this curve higher.
No, that's the curve, my guy.
That's me.
Dang!
That's five. That's six.
He's in the
curve
pocket.
is higher.
No, the curve is the curve. It don't count. It don't count. It come back.
Uh-oh.
I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border,
You definitely don't want to be an NPC, but whatever puts you on the road in the first place is probably the actual problem, or just being an American sucks. And yeah, risking years.
This is China War Machine. Every day these
Guys, I don't know why is that a thing. I used to do that, like, loading thing, but holy shit, man. Our Chinese brutal war machine is the package destroyed.
warped and bent, you can barely tell what they were.
No, man, this was so weird.
Guys, I wasn't as excited for anything as I am for this thing since I was a little kid.
Yeah, we finally have it. AI can turn your demo of music into a real thing. I can completely resonate with the excitement because I want to know how it feels like to hear me sing for once. You know? To hear my music for once. My vision for the music. I think it would be so cool. So eventually I'm gonna do that.
Guys do not understand what is happening to Russia as a result of the Ukraine attacks. The Russian government doesn't care about losing over 1 million troops in this battle or the tens of thousands displaced from the Ukrainian incursion in Kursk. They also don't care about the tens of billions of dollars of military equipment that have been turned to scrap. But what they do care about more than anything right now is Ukraine's destroying Russia's capacity for even having an economy by taking out their energy infrastructure. The lifeblood of Russia's economy are fossil fuel exports, primarily crude oil. They are the world's third largest producer of it at about 9.85 million barrels a day. And to top it off, they are the world's fourth largest natural gas exporter. If you want to know who number one is, that's America. So if oil can't trade oil and natural gas, then Russia doesn't have an economy. Russia collapses. To make matters even worse for Russia is that they have a wartime economy right now. So it's nowhere near as diversified as it was, which it wasn't really great in the first place. I mean, they are nowhere near as developed or diversified as, let's say, China or Japan. But because of this wartime economy, they are even more heavily dependent on fossil fuels, meaning that there are less resources for them to export to try to fund the war that they're failing at. And Russia also has to be able to refine the crude oil to get the gasoline they need to actually drive the vehicles they're using. And Ukraine has been attacking all of this with wave after wave of drone and missile strikes to the point where Russia has lost 1/3 of their oil refining capacity. So even though oil prices around the world have been consistently crashing, oil and gas prices in Russia just keep going up. And right now, Russia has banned the export of gasoline as several parts of the country are facing shortages, even though they're supposed to be one of the world's top supplier of this refined product. And it's not like Ukraine's President Zelensky is doing this on his own. He is being encouraged by our president as we speak to keep doing what he's doing, especially with the destruction of the Russian Druzhba oil pipeline, which is still feeding Hungary. And
it's still hard to believe that Putin thinks it's a good idea to just encourage people to strike back at his pathetic country at this point. There is something about narcissists wanting to be the bad guys, and Russia potentially having a lot of expendable people. It does seem like the war has already become a deadlock. Like, Russia is not pushing whatsoever. Even though they're supposed to, it's summer offensive. It's very serious stuff. But it feels like they're gonna run out of fuel very soon for the war, and gonna have a rippling effect on their economy. It's almost like interesting, dramatic move. Like, Russia is the drama queen of the world right now. Of like, whatever's gonna happen, it's not gonna be good, but it's gonna be very interesting to see.
Yes, sir. Look at all those peanut pods right there. Watch this. I see all the peanut pods. Look at these peanut pods. I'm gonna pull them up. And look at them. See, these were all...
No way. I am 41 years old and I thought peanuts grew on a tree.
Yeah, because we think nuts grow on a tree, so yeah. I felt the same way.
Keir Starling is about to get a massive nerf. This is why he might be finished and could be heading straight back to the lobby. So everyone knows that the server admin, Keir Starling, released some awful patch notes last summer event. Last summer event, we seen Keir Starling ban players for spamming in the game chat. One of these players was a female character, Lucy Connolly, where she got...
Wait, what's that? A nobody ratioing in this? Well, that's pretty sad.
A 31-month server ban for a single tweet. Well, here's the thing. Lucy Connolly has just won the 1v1 and she's just been freed from the gulag and she's landing straight on Keir Starling. Lucy Connolly has met up with the Trump clan to discuss Keir Starling's free speech nerf.
The thing is, we will change the government as many times as it takes, using democracy, using the most important piece of the puzzle that keeps government at bay from doing stupid shit, from thinking that they are the controllers of the universe, which they're not. They're still below the society. And society does not look at the government highly, and especially if the government is trying to be a little bitch and trying to do crazy things that society does not approve of. Some parts of society might approve some stupid shit, but that means nothing. Because unfortunately, most of the society has to approve. Democracy does not end with just elections. Democracy has to end with mostly approval, because it still leads to civil war after all.
Even the upcoming admin, Nigel Farage, has claimed that he will carry Lucy Connolly's story at the US Congress side quest. Wow, Keir Starling's controller's disconnected and he has no batteries. Good luck and have fun.
Somehow we still don't know what's gonna happen, but
One of my
politics move really slowly.
houses is right there on the end. I've had that for over a year, about a year and a half. All of these houses, brand new builds, available, all 10 of them, for sale, just sitting here, year and a half. 10, like, these are $1 million homes. Maybe that's a problem. 10, just chilling.
Don't you love it when they stumble across the answers to their own questions? I mean, that guy, it hit that guy in real time while he was videoing himself. I don't understand why these 10 single-story attached homes in the middle of fucking Utah aren't selling for $1 million a piece. Probably because that's not $1 million home. I don't give a fuck where you are anymore. I understand that home prices are insane and that people like myself still live in a time in their mind that no longer exists, right? In my world, jeans are still $25, right? And jeans are not $25. Jeans haven't been $25 in a hot fucking minute. But in my mind, jeans are still $25, right?
It's still hard to believe, basically. Why it's hard to believe? For the same reason. We're not appealing to the people anymore. We're appealing to investors who will buy the house and find some kind of magical value from that. Who will be able to flip the house somehow. Or put it up for rent. Like, I don't care. Someone else is going to make a business out of that fucking house. Instead of actually properly buying it for the sake of living in there. Because obviously it's unaffordable for a normal person, so it becomes like a whole different dimension of investors buying shit up. Or it's already owned by investor and the dude is just a broker. Just a little bitch. Trying to flex on the internet, basically.
I don't think people realize how much of the English language is made up of sailing metaphors. By and large, there are phrases like by and large, which refer to either sailing by, meaning into the wind, or sailing large, meaning against the wind. Then you got all the business terminology because it's such a good teamwork metaphor. You want to run a tight ship by having everyone in your crew be on board so you can have all hands on deck. And this idea of smooth sailing gave us a lot of words for things in motion. Once a project is launched, like a ship, it's then said to be underway or making headway, like a ship, unless you suddenly decide to change course like you would in a ship. If something is unlikely to happen, it's said to be a long shot because early naval guns were only accurate at close range. If you have a little wiggle room, you have leeway, which was the amount that a ship could be allowed to drift to the side. And the English language is sort of unique in having all these words because it's fundamentally a sailing language spread by people on ships. They really did have to know the ropes, meaning that they had to know how to use the ropes of a ship, which is why we have so many rope metaphors. We jury rig things because sailors had to jury rig a ship. We check for loose ends because sailors had to go around and make sure everything was tied down correctly. And if they weren't, you might have a literal loose cannon, which is how we got the metaphor for unpredictable person. All these words still exist because of England's nautical culture 300 years ago. I don't think people realize how much of the English language is made up of sailing metaphors. By and large, there are...
Did you hear the news today? New Zealand's totally screwed. 16,000 people lost their job this year. 3,770 businesses closed their doors, no longer operational. The economy is in free fall. $75 million is added to the national debt every day, which is $181 billion.
It's just me personally having a laugh at New Zealand and Australia. That thing is a different part of the world. It's very interesting. It's the same but worst. Yeah. I love it. Because it's a very different dimension as well. The upper world and upside down worlds. Holy crap, man.
Homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
The US government is finally taking action on the homeless issue, but honestly, I don't think that's really going to solve the problem. Let me show you how China has handled this. In today's China, you almost never see homeless people on the streets, but it wasn't always like this, and no, the government didn't just throw people in jail. Back in the early days, especially when the economy wasn't stable, there were a lot of homeless people. Jobs were shaky, social programs were weak, and life was tough for many families. Over time, the government built a stronger safety net, shelters, minimum living allowances, and community support programs. Step by step, fewer and fewer people had to sleep on the streets. What really made a difference, though, was the kindness of local communities and volunteers. If someone was struggling, there was usually a hand to pull them back up. It wasn't just about policies, it was about human compassion. And here's another thing, because China produces goods so efficiently, the cost of basic necessities stays low. Most people can afford what they need to live. Plus, with more cameras in public spaces, not to invade privacy, but to deter crime, streets became safer, and with strict city management.
Oh, look, someone is not relying 100% on the capitalism. Capitalism can technically look like just like lying that you're richer than other people and just giving toilet paper in exchange for goods and services. In China, unfortunately, for everyone else, everything seems to be cheap. How cool.
It's so hard.
But most importantly, in China, is things are cheap because people are well educated, well employed, and all that stuff, trickles down properly. China is already getting the benefits of the next thing to come, the next season, the next ism. Guys, you don't understand. We still gonna watch capitalism TikToks because I actually found a lot of them. This really never happens in What the Fuss episode ever, where it actually has a distinct theme.
Under capitalism because of the homogenization of responsibility. For example, when I get a $30 parking ticket, most people do not see that parking ticket as at least 2 hours of labor at minimum wage. They see it as like this amorphous, abstract thing that is so much easier to cope about and to fucking write a narrative about. Well, I make $100, that's not that much. Like, we do this numeral comparison rather than this tangible, physical, feeling comparison of how the system actually affects our lives. And this process makes the evils of capitalism so much harder to communicate, to recognize, and to label, even though that doesn't make the effects any less. Like, I will never forget the day I was talking to a homeless person on the street about how I'm just equally as broke and I can't pay for his, his meal or his lunch or whatever. And then I turned around to see a fucking McLaren, which is easily tens of thousands of meals just sitting around as somebody's fucking toy. The immediate write-off or whatever is that someone earned that, which, one, is not true, but it doesn't even matter if it's true, because even if you somehow earned 100,000 fucking meals or whatever, what kind of system or society do we live in where it's incentivized that you just go buy a toy with that instead of contributing to society with that? How are you
immoral? Very
even
likely.
Paying taxes on that amount of money that you're making, and those taxes aren't even covering this fucking dude's livelihood. And that's why the evil in capitalism is not just the rich, it's like its own living organism that just inherently sort of divides us and alienates us from physical, tangible reality. Like, I was just thinking the other day how ridiculous the 2-day weekend is, and how we could probably have another entire day, and how that would be better for everyone, and we would probably get just about as much done considering how efficient our technology and our society is. But then I realized, our society doesn't want to maximize human life or human experience. Our society wants to maximize these funny numbers. So any sort of efficiency or improvement under capitalism is just like, oh, great. Now, instead of, making $200 a week, we can make $211 instead of giving people 10% of their time off.
People lost it, and it's worse than you think. I talk about the skibbity world of the internet, where big creators get self-defense, you know? Where people actually come to defense of a fucking creator that they recognize. Instead of being social, where, like, I'm person talking to you right now. Can you be nice to me? Can you not just fucking praise your overlord, basically? Can you not just be consumed by a celebrity and treat it as your only identity? People sell themselves to this religion of money more times than you think. Oh, did that happen? Because it's absolutely true. Except I did it first. If anyone asks, capitalism connected with narcissism, I did it first, and I can do it more times as well because I can do it with high precision and confidence. It's a narcissistic system of having things. So money allows you to have a bunch of things. While you sell your soul to the bigger narcissist because that bigger narcissist is going to give you some money, you know? And that's it. You built a pyramid. For the promise of money, you enter the pyramid. You start playing the beast games, basically. Because there might be someone inside the pyramid that will give you some money. So capitalism will only die when narcissists will not be in control above you. When you're just going to be employed because you're providing value to society, and the amount of value you're providing is going to be the amount you get paid. That's when the capitalism actually breaks down. The biggest problem I didn't even fucking talk about is crazy. Because there's so many problems. I get distracted. But obviously the biggest problem is the hours. That is the worst thing about capitalism. The set hours. It might make some sense for you to come in on your shift to do your thing, to maintain some kind of big ass monstrosity like a factory. It sort of makes sense. But then you still have the night shift, you still have the torture shift, and potentially shifting shifts, which is even worse for your well-being. But worst thing of all, your input does not matter, it is not calculated, you are just doing what you're told for a certain amount of hours, and nothing special about it. Nothing you do actually feels like it has any value. You cannot do it faster, you cannot do it better, because you're not going to get paid more anyways. I am curious, however, when does this come up? So
off for the week, it just becomes another thing that just is added to the sum total, the profit margins of the rich. I mean, basically, to put things simply, the entire idea of liquidating something, of just turning a physical thing or process into money, is the root and basis of all alienation. Like, money really is the root of all evil, not because of greed or anything like that, but just disconnection from reality. And it has its purpose, right? Like, it's a great servant and a terrible master. But in order to utilize it without it literally controlling us and utilizing us, we're no longer in control of this system anymore. We actually have to have regulations and policy based around tangible, real shit. You can't own factories. You can't own fucking power grids. People are only allowed to work this many hours, And honestly, it's probably a dead thought, because where's the incentive to ever build a society like that, And that's why I always say politics is emergent from social behavior and spirituality, so that needs to come first. But yeah, we're just caught up in this net, this stretching web of rules, and this person needs this person, and this person needs this amount of money, and this person needs this process to happen at this time, and it's why? None of it makes sense. We're not doing anything. It's just this obsession with quantity and the idea that everything is increasing, getting better, and getting more awesomer all the fucking time. Anyways, this has been an official court rant. Expect them every Saturday, or Friday, because I have a job now, so I'm just a slave. Love you guys.
Well, it never happened, guys.
My customer was copying 3 terabytes of pictures out of his hard drive, and while it was reading, his cat rolled.
I don't know why I liked it. Bro
One from a
goes
healthy
into
donor
this.
drive. Then we can install
Into the hard drive?
it into my customer's drive, and boom, the hardware part of this job is done. Easy enough, let's keep going. Let's plug in some SATA cables here and cause a miniature explosion. So let's carefully pop it off the platter, and we need to be extremely careful not to touch the surface. Now we have to lock in. We have to carefully clean and analyze all of these platters, and if we forget which way the platters go back in, it's game over, we're cooked.
We're good,
Most
guys.
artists are living check to check.
Why are they living paycheck to paycheck?
Because they get paid semi-annually, and that's if they're recouped. So meaning, like, if I give you $2 million and your music didn't make $2 million back, you're not going to see another check from the label. Because once again, let's look at it just simply. I'm me. If I give you $2 million and you say, yeah, it's for my music, and I say, cool, when your music has made $2 million back, give me back my investment, and then everything after that is split 50-50. Well, if you never make back the $2 million,
You burn that shit, yeah.
of course you're not going to see another check from me for what? You didn't even make back the $2 million. So a lot of artists, they're unrecouped. They spent that $2 million. They spent that advance. So they're not even going to get those semi-annual checks. And if you are recouped, you're going to get 2 checks a year from the label. And that's why you get this whole fucking narrative of people being like, well, you got to tour. That's where the money is. No, man, the money is in music. Most artists are
Buddhist. I don't even know what that means, to be honest, but we just heard the investment, right? It's $2 million investment, and you have to give that back and give 50-50 splits for a few years. It sounds completely normal. It's a whole damn path, the whole world of becoming a musician. And yet we see still the devil figure of investor, what? Investor? Who is that guy?
Someone asked his students a question. He said, if you're carrying a cup of coffee and someone bumps into you, why did you spill the coffee? Each and every one of his students said, because someone bumped into me. And he said, no, the reason why you spilled the coffee is because that's what you were carrying in your cup. If you were carrying water, you would have spilled water. Then he said something profound. He said, whenever life shakes you, whatever you're carrying is going to spill out. So if you're carrying fear, jealousy, anger, greed, that's what's going to spill out. But if you're carrying love, compassion, kindness, empathy.
I kind of love this. Shit spills out constantly, and you can definitely judge people based on whatever spills out of their mouths. You do that little bit of a drama shake, and see what the character is really made out of in the end.
Hey Joshy, can I thaw this meat at room temperature?
Ideally, no.
So what's the right way to do it?
You should always defrost meat in the fridge. And this way, the meat always stay in a safe temperature and it best preserve the quality, but it can take up to 36 hours. If you need the meat fast, there is a way. So just soak them in water. You can leave them like this in room temperature, change the water every 30 minutes, the meat should be defrosted in 2 hours. Or you can just defrost in the microwave and cook immediately after.
I've heard you should never refreeze meat and you've got to eat it the day it was thawed. Is that true?
That's not true at all. If you defrost meat in the fridge, which means the cold chain never broke. So the meat is like a fresh meat. It's good in the fridge for a few days and you can absolutely refreeze it. But if you thaw them in water or in microwave, then yes, you have to use them in the same day.
POV, you're attacking a medieval castle and you decide to storm the weakest point, the gate. It is the weakest point because it's not a giant stone wall. And in a lot of movies, they just kind of show them busting the doors in really quickly. However, what they don't normally show in a lot of these castle sieges, they actually would have dumped tons and tons of earth behind that door so that it wouldn't have budged. Not only that, but there would have been multiple layers of doors, especially on a good castle. Now, there was cheaper castles, obviously. However, if there was a good castle, there would have been a lot of layers that you would have had to get to before. On top of that, you got things like matriculations and murder holes. What are those? Well, they're holes that you dump stuff down or you shoot stuff through. So if a guy was running underneath here trying to beat down the door, or maybe he just did, well, they're going to be dumping boiling water, super hot sand, tar, all kinds of crazy, gross, terrible things that they're going to be dumping down here. Maybe they're stabbing you with spears through these holes. And overall, it's just not going to be a good time. Now, obviously, the defenders are also going to try and come up with ways to protect themselves. And then even if you get through the first door, there's probably going to be multiple behind it. And then, like I said, they're probably going to pile up a whole bunch of dirt or other debris behind the door. So even if you manage to somehow break a hole through the door, you still have to then break the whole rest of the door down.
I also saw this guy talk about digging under a wall to break it down. Break a piece of a wall. So the most straightforward path is not really a good idea, but breaking down the wall somehow is easier. That's why I stopped doing it. Exactly.
One of these is a snack. Which one are you choosing? A or B, this or that? We're gonna learn about it.
Unfortunately, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? This thing does not even produce that much berry stuff, but the leaves are edible. And this is just a simple blueberry. A type of blueberry that everyone says it's huckleberry, so fuck yeah.
You don't have your dream body because you aren't disciplined enough to build it.
This is the kind of thing that only a child with no fucking life experience says. Because until you actually have to dig down and realize how shitty the world is, you don't get to talk about the fact that people aren't getting their dream bodies just because they're lazy. Being able to do things like that, being able to eat objectively healthy. Hey guy, the reason you don't have your dream body is because you're too lazy to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. Fuck you. Fuck you. You don't get to say shit like that when you're 23 years old and have an experience.
Yeah, being able to eat healthy and a lot, that is still a luxury.
70,000 monks just broke their vows of silence to nominate Trump for the Nobel.
Dear Mr. President Trump, we are standing here today with hearts full of appreciation.
70,000 Buddhist monks, dude. That's fucking ridiculous. That's awesome. They broke their vows of silence to do this. I hope you know that.
Is it misinformation? This never happens. No, I don't know.
My two least favorite friends to argue with is friend that doesn't remember anything they said and friend who remembers things that were never said. They just make up memory.
The two types of narcissists, guys.
Because when you get into
How we
arguments
are
with them,
ending.
it's just battle of the gaslight. Because with the friend that doesn't remember anything, they're so adamant that the shit that you know for a fact happened, didn't happen, and they'll argue you to the death, and you start to go, am I crazy? No, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. And with the friend that makes up memories, you're actually just...
Best thing you can do, I guess, is, yeah, okay, give me $5 and it didn't happen. At that point, you gotta change the way you talk to the narcissist, because you can only talk about money with them. You can only talk in simple terms, otherwise they just make up reality. Alright, let's find a funny meme and finish this battle. Nah.
Shit and feels like shit to live in, and they do it on purpose because it's how they sell you consumerism. When scientists wanted to study addiction in the 1970s, they did a bunch of experiments giving rats the option to either, have heroin water or have normal water. And of course, all the rats were addicted to the heroin water until they learned that in an environment with healthy social relationships, other rats, plenty of things to do, plenty of food, plenty of playing areas, the rats never picked the heroin. We're so
interesting connection, right?
Cavities, how to stop gingivitis, halt gum disease. This is what we're doing here. And now, among this kind of preventative dental content is reaching the right people who truly need it.
He's celebrating 10K, let's go. I do believe in his content, too.
Plug this in, move your eyes. You were supposed to microwave sponges.
So here's a quote that might change your perspective today. A man who fears suffering is already suffering from what he fears.
We need to get rid of USB Type-C, definitely get rid of Lightning, and switch to GPMI. Over 50 of the biggest Chinese tech companies got together and said, hey, let's just make the best cable for everything.
Watch how this guy explains free will with just a guitar. It's awesome.
If I was to pick up the guitar and try to play it like this,
that's
am I being free? Yes, I'm doing whatever the heck I want to do with this thing. But the guitar wasn't designed for that. It's designed for a particular way of playing, right? And if the same way, if I'm thinking about with music in general, learning my scales, learning my chord structures, learning all of this stuff, if I just try to play whatever I want to play, sounds terrible, right? But am I being free? Yeah. In one sense, yes. But what if actually by learning the chords and the structures and being able to play around that actually leads me into the freedom of the life that I was made to live? That the freedom that we're promised to live by not embracing our limitations actually leads to chaos, but the freedom of embracing the limitations that God has for us actually leads to beauty. Wow. What if actually limitations are good for you, and through embracing your limitations, in addition to your giftings, God actually will help reveal to you the beauty that you are created for?
But I want to be a man. I'm not here to embrace what God has given me as limitations. Fuck that shit. I'm not here to learn to play myself. I'm not gonna respect that at all because I have the ultimate privilege of switching my gender. Wow, how cool is that? It's only available in America.
We're not supposed to see
Okay, that is, I think, the GOAT, right? They bank on our laziness. This is the most important thing about capitalism. You can bend a few things. You can learn a few tricks here and there on how to save a few pennies. And that will at least help you not lose the game. Because you know what happens if you lose capitalism? You get enslavement for money. You know, you have to beg the narcissist to give you some more money. It is what it is, but if you learn to save more money, and especially if you get the magic of welfare and money saving, that's the craziest combination ever.
Much juice I can get out of a whole pineapple.
So did it work? Did it work? Did she manage to get the juice out of the pineapple successfully? Well, it wasn't her at all. It was this guy. And he did it.
Of organic, fresh squeezed pineapple juice. This was from our $2 pineapple that we just squeezed. We're gonna put this in an identical container and see just how much. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. No way. Hold on. That is almost identical, and it saved it.
He told that he saved $10 on this one, so it varies a little bit, doesn't it? Now, again, these are exceptions if you can find them. Somehow buying fresh things and juicing them properly and doing whatever might be cheaper, of course. That's the most beautiful thing that through struggles becomes art. Art of saving money. Discover it and set yourself free. Thank you guys for watching.